external knowledge must bring you to the state of humbleness. As you have, when you approach the divine, of course you must understand certain things, no? You must get to know about him. You see, this is one spiritual journey in itself, because we have a mind. Due to our mind, we want to understand certain thing. But again, understanding doesn't mean just I read something and I think I understand it. Understanding means that I also put in practice what I am reading about. So that knowledge, whatever you are studying, you are filling your mind with, it have to bring you the state of detaching yourself that you are doing that. You are the doer. You are the one which is doing things. No. It is that Atma which is doing things inside of you. If that knowledge doesn't bring you closer to your relationship to God, that knowledge is useless. You know, if that knowledge which you have been studying and going deeper into that doesn't make you humble and really see that it is the Supreme Lord, you know, which is doing everything inside of you, then it is nothing.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Prem Lounge by Bhakti Marga South Africa. We are very happy to have you all join us this evening in Guru Sangha. Before we begin and I introduce our guests, we will start with an opening prayer, which will be led by Swami VishwaAkashananda. Jai Gurudev, Swami.
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, everybody. Om. Om. Ajnanaatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ya Kundendu Tusharahara Ravala Ya Shubhravastavrita Ya Veena Varadandamandhitakara Ya Shveta Padmasana Ya Brahmachyuta Shankara Prabhritibhi Deve Sada Vandita Samam Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Buddhi Pradaham Sharade Buddhi Pradaham Sharade.
Thank you, Swami. So welcome to everyone to our 15th session of the Prem Lounge. We are so excited to have you here with us tonight and hope you've been enjoying our past sessions. We are going to end off this year by listening to the journey of Swami VishwaAkashananda. As we know, each one's journey on the spiritual path is unique and very personal with the divine. And here at the Prem Lounge, we love to honor each other's journey and share our experiences with Guruji, so we all can learn from each other, but also to inspire each other and connect to our Satguru and his teachings. So our intention is to come together in prayer and devotion in Guru Sangha, and this forms the foundation of the Prem Lounge, all dedicated to the lotus feet of our Satguru. So just a few Zoom guidelines. The reason why we have everyone muted currently is to not disturb the meeting, but you're welcome to switch your camera on, as we love to be in Sangha together. And at the end of the program, we will disable the mute function, and you may use the raise your hand function if you have a burning question to ask our speaker. If you're experiencing any problems on Zoom, you may message our host or co-host on the chat and they will assist you. So tonight we are very excited to have Swami VishwaAkashananda here with us and to share his journey with us. We have heard bits of his story here and there online, and we are looking forward to hearing his full journey of grace and blessings with Guruji. Swami is also a knowledge teacher, and so there's so much to learn from him as he inspires us in his service to Guruji. And Swami joined Guruji's mission in 2016 and took Swami initiation in 2021 and resides at Sri Pitanilia in Germany. He oversees countries like Albania, Czech Republic, Macedonia, Sicily, and Slovakia. So welcome, Swami. We are so happy to have you on the Prem Lounge and to share your journey with us. And thank you for being here with us today. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Jai Gurudev. But if you want to put your camera, at least I'm talking to somebody, because otherwise I'm talking to the screen. But it's also okay. It's not a problem. I guess you all talk English. I'm probably the one who talks the least good English, given my Italianity. Oh, somebody's driving even. Nice.
So you can start by sharing your journey with us and tell us like how you came on the path, how you met Guruji.
Yes, I can, yeah. Well, I was born in Italy. You might know that part. Yeah, I was born in Italy. North Italy is actually very, 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 very close to where Swami Niruddha was born. We're basically neighbors. We're around 10, 15 kilometers away from each other. And we didn't meet. I didn't know him before joining Bhakti Marga. My town is a bilingual town. So it's in the north of Italy, and you have to speak also German because you're close to Austria. And I was born, as most of you, from mother, and I had a father. And I had a life that was not that bad, I have to be honest. It wasn't bad, and my parents are good people. But my father left when I was 6 months because he had another woman, and things were not going good between my parents even before. But he stayed very close to our family, and he was really, really present in my life. And the main problem of my existence, well, my uncle was completely crazy, and he still is completely crazy. Went to prison multiple times since he was 16. He was a heroin addicted. He was a thief. He was a drug dealer. He was a madman. But I loved him, especially when I was young. I really loved him a lot. What happened later on is that throughout my youth, he did multiple very violent actions. And it was good. It was really good for me because he gave me a lot of reasons to complain in life. Because many people complain, they don't really have a reason to, but I felt like entitled because it was really bad and I had a difficult life. So it wasn't my fault that I was screwing up. It was his fault. And of course, my parents split, so it wasn't my fault, it was their fault. And I slowly entered into a very traditional practice amongst humans, and especially, I guess everyone, lamentation. Yeah. So I was just lamenting, it was not my fault, it was their fault. And so I was entitled and justified when I was making mistakes and wrong things. And of course, we might relate to that, because as I see here, we're mostly devotees, and we all read the Bhagavad Gita, and we know that chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, that is his lamentation. And it's not by chance that it starts with a lamentation, because we all love to lament. And most of us get stuck in chapter 1. So throughout this journey of not knowing what to do, I had something that I was sure about, that it was some sort of emptiness of my life. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know my place. I was bored. I was feeling lonely, and I had this void in my chest. Like I really didn't know what it was. It was like physically here in my chest. And slowly I went on, and because of the experiences with my uncle and all that environment of addiction and drugs, I didn't really take any drugs until I was 18. I didn't drink. I didn't do anything. But then at 18, one day I had one of the stupidest ideas of my life. I was in Verona at the train station. I don't know, I used to tell people, you should stop smoking, you should stop smoking, you should stop smoking. And they used to tell me, you have no idea what it means because you don't smoke. Yeah, so you can't tell us to stop something because you don't know what it is. And so I remember very clearly one of the most stupid moments of my existence, probably. I'm in front of the train waiting. I have like half an hour before the train comes. And I think of this sentence, I don't know what it means to stop smoking because I don't smoke. So I said, maybe I should just start smoking and then stop smoking. And like a very retarded person, I went out of the train station. I went to the automatic machine that gives cigarettes. And I bought a package of cigarettes, and I started smoking. I smoked one, I smoked two, I smoked three, and that's how I started smoking. It's very stupid. And then I applied that mentality to multiple other things. So I started to drink for the same reason. I started with drugs. And that slowly I went down into this very dark hole. And the thing was that at that time, I tried to help my uncle to get out of that addictions. And, you know, Guruji most of the time says, be careful, because when you go with the wrong people, you have a wrong association, they will bring you down. You think you're going to lift them up, but it's very likely that they bring you down, because you have to be really strong and grounded not to be brought down by them. And Guruji was right. Of course, Guruji was right. So I started to hang out with my uncle, trying to have him stop smoking and taking drugs, but I end up taking drugs also and smoking with him and drinking with him. And so I slowly go down that hole. So rather than uplifting him, I downgraded with him, and I went deep down the hole of addiction, until he did something stronger than normal, like type of violence that was more than what he used to do. And he tried to kill us all. So we had to be with like crazy situation, like movies. Actually, when I tell the story, it feels like a movie. With knives, and like he cut the throat of my other uncle. They were fighting, and like really, yeah, madness, complete madness. And all of this was really confusing for me at that time, specifically because I didn't really dislike him, in the sense that I loved him anyway, and that was my problem. I loved him even though it was crazy. And I loved also the other part of my family. And the big fight inside of me was like having two factions. Very similar, I guess, to what Arjuna was experiencing on the battlefield, having the Pandavas behind him that he loves, and then has to fight against the Kauravas. But at the same time, with the affection of the people that are part of the caravans. So it was really weird. And that day, when then the police came, and then, you know, they brought into prison, and then we had to run away from our house, and we had to change completely on the other side of the city. And I slowly started to sink deeper and deeper into that hole in my chest of loneliness, fear, boredom, and like no idea why and what to do in my life. So what happened later on was that around 2 years after that, I was very lucky in that sense, because at the time I had a girlfriend, and I was going to night school, and I was working, and I was just sinking in, honestly, into this depression and pain, and I was scared of people. Just to give you an idea, when I used to go to university and I was going inside the elevator and there were other people, I was so scared of humans that my body became completely full of a rush, like completely red and full of bubbles, because of the fear of people. And so in 2014, it was Christmas, around Christmas, and I was in my room with my girlfriend at the time, and we had an intimate moment. And then I remember I looked at her and I felt nothing. I felt nothing for her. I felt nothing for myself. I felt nothing for nothing. I was completely empty. My life was completely void and useless. And it was one of the worst moments of my life. And I remember thinking in that moment, I either stand up and I get out of that thing, or I'm going to die. I wasn't thinking about suicide, but I wasn't thinking about like enjoying life. It was like really a moment of when you touch the bottom, and really there's nothing more than that bottom. I met many people that told me that they reached the bottom, but somehow they can still manage to go lower than that bottom. So it's not really the bottom. But that was a very important point of my life, because that was too much. And so I left my girlfriend. I wanted to change. And 1 year after, I was very lucky. I met a psychotherapist, really good psychotherapist. And immediately won me, basically, with the first sentence that he said when I opened the door to go to him. And it was also weird how I went to him, because I actually went to smoke with his stepson in his house. I didn't know him. And so my first encounter with him, not physically with him, but in the house, was because I went to smoke a joint with his stepson in his house. And I just saw the books that he had. And I didn't know him. I had no idea who he was. But around 6 to 8 months after, I wake up on a Sunday. I have no idea what I dreamed of, but I was 100% certain that I had to meet this guy. There was no rational reasons behind. I just knew I had to meet this guy. So I make an appointment, I see him, I meet him. After 1 month that I know him, he brought me to a retreat and I became vegetarian. So first step, he changed my diet. Then after 3 months, I stopped taking drugs. So I stopped smoking, I stopped doing anything else, and I stopped with alcohol. And after around 8 months, I stopped drinking also. Yeah, I stopped with women. So after 3 months, I stopped drinking. But after 8 months, with some fall down, I stopped with women, because it made me realize that the difference between smoking, eating excessively, alcohol, and women was not that much. They were addictions, and they were very useful to fill the hole in my chest. They were just different objects that I was using to cover that loneliness. And so for 2 years, we go on this journey with him of psychotherapy. I go there every week. I do groups. I do weeks away, like to just, know yourself and try to solve the problems that you had in your past. So I slowly start to solve the problems with my mom. I solve the problems with my dad. I solve the problems with my sister, with my uncle. And I'm supposed to get better. And at that time, the beginning of 2016, I was at the 3rd year of university, philosophy. So I was getting towards the end of the first degree at university. I had 5 jobs. I was doing the waiter in the weekend. I was working with kids. I was doing after school. It was really nice. And I had what they tell you you're supposed to have on the outside. I had friends. As I said, I tried my best to stop with women, but sometimes I was falling down. So every once in a while I was, falling back into that. But again, with a different approach, with more respect, with a different mentality compared to the one before. But still, it wasn't filling the hole in my chest. And that was the main problem. So I went to him at the beginning of 2016, to my therapist, and I said, look, when nice that we're solving all these problems, my sister or my dad or my mom, but when are you going to cover this hole in my chest? And he was very sweet because he said, psychotherapy can bring you until here, but from here on there is spirituality, and I cannot guide you there. And he was right. He was right. And around 1 month after, he received an email from a website that he was not subscribed to that was saying Paramahamsa Vishwananda is coming to Verona. There is a city very close to my town, to my city. And so on my Tuesday, I go there for my hour with him. I sit down. First thing that he says, he looks at me and he says, on Thursday, I go to the house of God to meet a saint. And I said, cool, can I come with you? And he said, yeah, if you want, you can come. And then that's how we ended up 2 days after to go to this city. We're going to this big theater, and I'm supposed to meet saint. And of course, how do you see the saints in the movies? How do they display saints? With beard, with long hair, white hair, very old, with a stick, dressed in, I don't know, wrapped clothes, or probably even naked, just full of ashes. So no, that's what you imagine when you think of a saint. So I sit down, I am dressed not at all like a spiritual seeker as I would understand it now. For sure, I'm not dressed like a monk. I'm dressed like a skater. But that was my style at the time. I kept it a little bit. So I had my Vans, I had my short pants. Over the knee, of course, I had a very large open chest t-shirt, just very worldly in that sense. And I end up with all these people, and I look around and I think, these are weird people. Like, they are dressed weird, they have weird things on their forehead. But anyway, I was like, okay, whatever, let's see what happens. So I sit down and I wait for this guy that, of course, doesn't come. He's late and he's not arriving. At one point, I see that everybody's turning. So I turn and I see this young guy. At the time, Guruji was 38. There is this guy, 38, no stick, no gray beard, beautiful, long hair. And he just walks very happy, smiling, enjoying life. And he goes on the stage, sits down on the chair, and he starts to talk. Talks in English. That was not my main language at the time. I wasn't really that good. I had a gaming English because I was playing online, but that was my level of English. And it's not only that, the Italian translator was doing a very bad job. And at the same time, Guruji was talking about very complicated things. So there is this saint, young, that the more I look at him, the more I don't understand if he's a man or a woman, because half of his face looks like very feminine and half of his face looks very masculine. So I'm very confused about the situation. And he speaks about Hanuman and this ape god and whatever else, very much into Hindu understanding and knowledge. I'm like, I have no idea what this guy is talking about. And the only thing I can think about is that I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go to the toilet. That was my only thought while Guruji was talking when I met him. So I'm thinking, I really just need to go to the toilet. He will stop talking soon, but he speaks 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and he just keeps talking. And so at one point I said, okay, whatever, I just stand up. Nobody stood up. There were hundreds of people. Nobody had to go to the toilet. So I was the only one who stood up. I was almost in front. So I stand up, I leave, I go to the toilet, I come back. And he goes on talks again and again and again. And I'm honestly, at that time, I was really bored. I was like, I don't understand what he's talking about. I don't see relevance in my life. I have no idea why I'm here even. And then at one point I see that everybody queues and they go to the main central line in the middle of the theater because Guruji decides to give a spontaneous darshan. So I see all these people queuing and I said, whatever, okay, let's go. I have no idea what's going on. So I follow and I really start to think that I'm in the wrong place because people are not queuing standing, they're queuing on their knees. And they're dressed very weird with these, I don't know, like curtains on, like men have skirts basically. They have this weird war paint on their forehead. And I don't get it. I'm thinking, what's going on? These people are completely crazy. Where am I? And, you know, the more I approach towards the main stage where Guruji was sitting, the more I look at these people on their knees and I'm thinking, there's no way I kneel to a guy. And I kept having this rap song in my head that I used to listen to, an Italian rap song. They used to say, I kneel only to tie my shoes. That was the only moment I would kneel. I was thinking, there's no way I kneel to a guy. This doesn't make any sense. So, but I'm going there, everybody's going, the music is nice and whatever. The more I go close to him, the more my egocentric, narcissistic part comes out. So I'm thinking, oh, he's supposed to be a saint. So expectation grow. What's the main expectation most of us have? To be seen, to be recognized, to be important for somebody else. And when you meet somebody that is so important for so many people, there is something in your ego that says, if this guy recognizes me, I am really important. And he's supposed to be a saint. So a saint is supposed to recognize me. So I go close to him. I remember I'm almost there. And at the time, it was not like now. But he used to give darshan, putting the hand on the top of the head. And so before arriving there, I'm thinking, let's see if he really is a saint. Because if he is a saint, he's going to recognize how old and ancient my soul is. So I was starting to think like in the movies. No, I was like, he's going to just, look at me and he's going to be like, oh, wow, you finally came. It's been so long. Where have you been? I'm waiting for you for lifetimes. It's been thousands of years. And I'm making all these things in my head. I don't know how it works in South Africa, but Italian mothers are very good in making think their children that they're the best and they're the center of the universe. So when you have these situations, you go into that mentality. So you think, oh my God, I'm just going to recognize I am the greatest ever created, and Guruji is very good in bringing out these things. So the first thing you brought out when I met him was that he was like, he's going to recognize my wisdom, how old my age is. So I approach him, goes there, puts his hand on my head, looks me in the eyes. And I'm just waiting. I'm like, just say these words. And he just smiles, gives me a candy, gives me the petal, the vibhuti, and then he just turns and he goes on with the other person. And that was the end of my darshan. And I was incredibly disappointed. I was really disappointed. I left and I thought, oh my God, you're supposed to be a saint. You don't even recognize how great I am. Just disappointed. So I just go back to my therapist. I go there and the music is nice. So I'm dancing, there's the drum going on. And then I honestly go back to my life. I go back to school. I go back to university. I have my exams. I go back to my jobs. I had all my things to do. I had psychotherapy to go on, to learn more stuff. And I kind of forgot about it. And that was on the 21st of April, 2016. And then around 1 month after, at the end of May, I went out with my therapist. We went for a walk together. And he asked me, he said, did you realize who we met? And I said, honestly, no idea. And we spoke for 2 hours. And in 2 hours, I saw how many things he saw and he experienced that I didn't. And if I trust one person and that person trusts another one, I somehow, for whatever mathematical property, I trust that person just because he's been trusted by somebody that I trust. And so that was the main thing. I realized maybe I missed something. I lost something in that situation. So he arranges my therapist arranges a Kriya weekend where we can get initiated into Atma Kriya Yoga. And he organizes it on the 10th, 11th, and 12th of June, so that then on the 12th night, we can travel to SPN here in Germany, to Sri Nilayya, and come for Guruji's celebration and his birthday. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good as an idea. So we go for the Atma Kriya Yoga course. Yeah, we did Friday. I guess all of you have it. So we went for Friday. We did for the beginning, then Saturday full intensive, all the techniques and all these things. And I remember there was a funny part that happened there that I believe was a display from Guruji before even being so much part of my life, where he already showed me that there are many possibilities, and it really is about the choice that we make. Because I remember on that Saturday evening, before getting the initiation on Sunday, we finish our event there. So they teach us Kriya, and then we go back home. And from the hall where they were teaching us Kriya to my home and my friend's home you had to walk through the city. And of course, in the city, I had all my friends. My friends owned bars, and they were still taking drugs, still alcohol. It was full of ex-girlfriends and all these kind of things. So I'm passing through the city, and we go to get a vegan burger. It's very needed around 12 in the night. And I remember I'm sitting there, and I finish my burger, I stand up, and I'm walking by, and I see sitting down one of my latest ex-girlfriend. And she looks at me. It was weird. She grabs me from the arms, and she wants to pull me down, tries to kiss me. So I move back, and she says, "Bring me home." And that was a specific moment, because I was like, wait a minute, I have the Kriya initiation and going to the ashram to go deep within, and I have the call back to the senses and to go absolutely somewhere else. And I believed it was a very clear message of two possible paths that you have in life. You have to follow the world of the senses, or to actually go deeper within. And in that moment, I chose right. I believe I chose right. So I told her, you can go home alone. Thank you. And I went back to my house. I went to sleep. I got the Kriya initiation, and we took the car and we went to SPN on that day. And we reached SPN in the night. And when I arrived here, I remember this hole in my chest started to like kind of tremble. It was vibrating, and I had this very deep and strong need of crying, but I kept swallowing it. I was like, it's too much. I was feeling like if I open this, I'm gonna suffer a lot. And so I spent one day here. Guruji was going around. It was his birthday. And in the night, we go on the boat. It was the first time I went on the boat. So it's a very surreal situation. We are like in hundreds of people on a boat in the middle of Germany on a river, just going up and down to a big party. There are no drugs. There's nothing of what was a party for me before, but everybody's going crazy, completely crazy, just with water though, and juices. Everybody's going crazy. So we're dancing a lot. And then Guruji decides to give a private interview to my therapist and the wife. So he goes there, and then they call us in. So we go there, and it was cool because we arrived to the place. Guruji is sitting on the side of the boat, and it's a very surreal situation, honestly. I look behind him, I see like basically the darkness of the night, but in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the river, and this big boat with this allegedly great saint that thousands of people follow. And it's me, one of my friends from youth and another girl that came with us, another woman. And Guruji looks at us and says, "Tell me, what do you want?" And it's a classic. I mean, you might have probably had it as an experience when you go in front of Guruji and Guruji asks you, "What do you want?" Like, or tell me, or he starts to talk to you in a darshan situation, in a very specific situation, and you have no idea what to say. You don't remember what you're supposed to say. You had a lot of questions before, but then when you're right in front of him, you have no idea what you're supposed to say, what you're supposed to do. And so we're all quiet. I don't say anything. My friend says nothing. And the other friend, she says nothing. And then Guruji looked at us as if to say, "Come on, just say something." Just like, say something. And it was sweet because my friend looked at him and said, "Guruji, can I touch you?" That it was weird. And Guruji said, "Yeah," and gave his hand, and they just hold the hand. My friend was very happy. Guruji was smiling. The other woman said, "I have nothing. I don't need anything. I already have everything." And we told her later on it sounded arrogant, the way of what she said. But she said that she didn't mean it in a bad way. She meant that it's understandable that in that moment she didn't feel she needed anything. Like she had everything she needed. That is something that you feel when you are with Guruji. And then it was my turn because I didn't say anything. And I felt like time slowed down, because how many times are you going to be on a boat in the middle of the river of Germany with a saint and you can ask him whatever you want? How many other times going to happen? Not even just in this life, in lifetimes. And I had no question. I just knew I was scared. So I told him, "I'm scared." And he asked me, "Of what?" And I answered that I didn't know, that it was here, it was something here. And Guruji asked if I wanted to contribute in the world in a positive or negative way. And I said, in a positive way. And he said, "Okay, then don't worry. Your eyes are shining and your heart is full of love." And it really hit me deep in that hole. Like it was really like, it's stuck in the middle of my chest. But I was 25. I was like, I'm going to be a man. I was actually 24, I think. It's going to be a man. I'm not going to cry now. It's not the moment to cry. And so I said, "Thank you. Thank you." So I bow down and then I leave, go outside. Then I start to cry. I cried for like 1 hour. It was really intense. It was really intense. Then we take the car, we go back home. And when we reach home, it's me and my friend, we park the car, we live close by. So he goes to his house. I start to walk towards my house. I'm on the pathway on the left of the road, and I'm walking home. And then I want to call my dad to tell him what happened and how beautiful was the experience that I had. So I take out my phone, I go on WhatsApp. I just want to call him. And you know, when you call somebody, the picture comes up, the big picture of the person you're calling. And so I remember when I saw the picture of my dad, that he started to ring and the picture popped up on the phone, I felt that this hole in my chest has completely opened. It was incredibly painful and it completely opened. And it started to pour out like goosebumps all over my body, like a fountain, just covering completely all my body and everything. And I loved him so much. It was by now the greatest experience of love I ever had in my life. And I didn't love him because he was my dad. I didn't love him because of what he did for me. I didn't love him for any specific reason. I don't think I even loved him because he was my dad. I just loved him. It was unbelievable. I felt my entire body, senses, emotions, mind, everything was enveloped into this love. And I just could cry, and it was so painful, so painful. But at the same time, it was so beautiful that I was crying and laughing at the same time. And it was really confusing. And my father realized it wasn't really a conversation because I was just crying. I wasn't saying anything. I couldn't talk. So I just said, "I'll call you later." And then I went back home and I cried for 7 hours, no stop. Yeah, my mom came home at one point, and when I saw her, I really was feeling this crazy amount of love. And my mom got scared immediately. And the first thing that she said, "You're crying because you wanted to stay there, right?" And to be honest with you, to stay there was like not even a thought that crossed my mind. But you could see immediately fear and attachment immediately. She saw the impact it had on me, and she immediately said, you're crying because you wanted to stay there. That was, of course, her attachment towards me. And then what happened was that the days after, my sister was writing me messages. "I feel like I'm losing you. I feel it in my veins." Yeah, very Italian, of course, but I believe her. Like it was true. Like and my answer to her message was, "It's true. I think you lost me." Because the day after that 7 hours of crying, when I woke up in the morning, I had no pain anymore in my chest. I had no fear. I had no loneliness, no boredom. Everything was gone. 24 plus years of existential problem gone in one sentence of Guruji. One. Your eyes are shining and your heart is full of love. Bam, finish. End of problems of my entire life. Wake up in the morning, everything is good. I don't want anything else to be with him, because if I meet somebody that with one sentence can change 20, why would I not follow this guy? It just makes no sense. Plus, to be honest, I had no choice. Like, by now, after all these years, I think what he did, and I met some other people that he did this to, we're all different, so we have different reactions to him, and some people take more time, years, some others take less. As I told you, the first time that I met him, nothing happened in me that I know, that I'm aware of. But after that encounter, I feel like he just went inside of me and he switched a button. And he turned off a part of me that is not needed, and he just turned on something else that I have no idea what it is. And that was it. That was the beginning and the end of the story of how then I decided to follow him, because there was no other way. I couldn't do anything else. And so I started to dream of him every night. I started to wanted to travel with him, to be with him. And after it was in July, 1 week before the Just Love Festival, I was supposed to come here for the Just Love Festival. And there was a darshan in Innsbruck, so close by in Austria. And it was on a Sunday. On a Saturday night, I have a dream. Guruji is passing by with the car, and I ran to that car. I knock at the window, and he pulls down the window, and he says, "Tell me." And I said, "Guruji, can I travel with you? Can I be where you are? Can I live where you are? Can I eat where you eat? Can I do everything you're doing? Can I always be with you?" And he said, coming out of the car, he said, "Of course." And he started to cry, and he hugged me, and I started to cry, and it was amazing. It's an amazing moment. But then I woke up. It was a dream. It was real. And the day after, I go for darshan. I'm in the queue, and I didn't know, it wasn't like now that you can write a message, or at least I didn't know I could write a piece of paper, or I could try to talk to him. It was like, he either speaks to me or it's over. Like, there's no other way for me to contact him. I go there, I'm receiving the darshan, and then I'm looking at him in the eyes, and I feel like electricity starts from my feet, and it just goes up my legs, goes through my body, and it reaches my forehead. And in that moment, my mind, that is normally full of thoughts and mess and a lot of things going around, just has one clear thought: I want you. And I felt like I shot it out of my forehead, like from my third eye, I just shot it out. When I shoot it and it's supposed to reach him, he stops the darshan, he smiles, and he says, "How are you?" I said, "I'm good. I miss you." And he said, he looked back, Guruji's look in the nothingness, and he said, "Come to Germany." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, come to Germany." So I said, "Wow, amazing." I bow down, I go back, and I start to cry, and I cry again, 2-3 hours. It was a lot of crying at the beginning. And so I'm crying a lot, and then I go to SPN, to Just Love. I arrive on a Friday. On a Saturday morning, there is somebody making a performance outside of the lobby in the main entrance. And I was behind many, many rows of people. There were like a lot of people, and I was really far away. And Guruji was looking at this performance. They were dancing for him. And somehow I was staring at Guruji, and I felt that he did this. When I say this, if you're looking at the camera, like, you realize I did nothing. And that's exactly what I thought. He did nothing. But something in my brain told me that he kind of moved his head as if to say, come here. And while I'm processing this, again, you're such a narcissist. You always think always like this need of attention. You always think it's you and whatever. But while I'm thinking all these things, I'm basically already there. I moved without even thinking about it. I'm already there, close to him. And when he looks at me, he sees me, he looks at me and he says, come. And then he says, are you the one who wants to stay? And I was surprised because nobody actually knew I wanted to stay. And I said, yes. And he said, when do you want to stay? And I said, now. And he said, now? Already? And I said, yeah, now. And he said, okay, stay. And that's how I never left SPN. That's the beginning, and it's still the story. I'm still there. I'm still here. And I had 2 t-shirts at the time, and a pair of underwear, I remember, because I had nothing. I basically had to wash all the stuff very quickly because I had nothing. And I stayed there, and then slowly I started to do exactly everything that I asked him in the dream, and everything that he said I could do in that dream. I lived where he lived. I travel with him. I eat with him. I do everything that he was said in that dream. And he said, yeah, of course. And then, of course, there are so many other things that happened. But I don't know. I already spoke for 40 minutes. I don't know how long more you want me to talk. I don't know.
Thank you, Swami, for your sharing. It's interesting to hear like the journey you took from where you were and how you came to the ashram. Could you maybe like go into sharing about life at the ashram and how the journey then unfolded from there onwards that led you to become a brahmachari and a rishi and then a swami? How did that part of the journey unfold for you?
Okay, yeah. Well, when I stayed, at the time we didn't have yet the devotee thing, and or the differentiation so clear. If you remember, we had like the Jal Brahmachari, that was the devotee that we have right now, and we had the Brahmachari. So I remember after when satsang, then Guruji calls me there and we were talking, and I said, can I become I said, can I get initiated? And Guruji said, into brahmachari. And I said, well, yeah, if you want. And he said, no, start with Jal Brahmachari, start with Jal Brahmachari. There will be devotee, just like start with devotee. And I said, okay, whatever. Because I was honestly ready to already become brahmachari at that time, because as I said, I've been very lucky. I was introduced so much into leaving the addictions and women and parties and drugs and all these things, that the idea of trying to let everything go was okay. So I became a devotee at the time, and it was really beautiful because, well, you have the picture. I don't know if you want to show it now, but there's actually the picture number 8 that you sent me is when then I got initiated in the Kali temple with Swami Niruddha. And the first one that I sent you, if you're there, or otherwise I can share it, is the one where I am with my psychotherapist, with the wife, and there is me, and there is Swami Niruddha, that at the time was Rishi Pramod. And Rishi Pramod, in his years of being a Rishi, initiated 3 people, and it's me, my therapist, and the wife, and we're all from the same town. So it was really, really nice. We did it in the evening. It was also a crazy story. We couldn't find the keys to the shop to get some tulsi mala. There was no way to get a kanti mala, so It was a mess, but at the end, Guruji gave his own kantimalas to get initiated, and then we get the initiation. He gives us the name, and that's where Akash started. So basically, he tells me, your name now is Akash. And I remember in that initiation, I was crying like crazy. It was really, really crazy. I don't know if you want to put the picture. I think it's just nice. I don't even know who is looking, honestly, because I don't see the cameras on. But if you want to, I wrote to you which one it is. So that you have an idea. So as you can see, we are in the Kali temple, the small one when you come in SPN at the beginning. And this is Swami Niruddha, that at the time was Rishi Pramod. This was 6 years ago in August. I am the one on the right, of course, with more hair, a bigger tilak, and more dark skin, because I was just coming from holiday, so I was full of color. And at the left of Swami Niruddha, there is my psychotherapist, Alfio, that then became Krishna Bandhu on that day. And the one close by is the wife, that is Razika. So it was really nice. It was a great moment. And I remember, thank you for sharing it. And I remember I went to, this is the therapist. Yeah. A legend, Krishna Bandhu. And then I went up. I remember Guruji says, okay, you can come for dinner. So I go up for dinner. And he asked me, did you get initiated? And I said, yes. And I said, good. Today, Andrea, that was my name. It's like an anagraphic name. Yeah. He says, Andrea is dead and Akash is born again. And that sounded a lot like a movie. I was like, this is cool, man. My life is slowly becoming that movie that I thought was at the beginning. Because actually, if I look at my 6 years with him, it's kind of a movie, this experiences I had with him. And it was nice because it was really, really intense. And I really felt it, like the name was really strong, resonating with me. And Akash, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. So from that day, he actually never, ever again called me Andrea. And it's always been Akash, just Akash. And for everybody became Akash. And many people ask me normally, how did your family take it? How did your family take it? I made it very easy for my family. They were against. And so I called them all and I said, don't call me, don't text me, don't come here, and just let me be. You know, some people think it's very radical and very strong as a reaction, but at the same time, I was like, I need to decide whether I'm going to invest in my life and what I want to be, or I'm going to just follow the fear of other people. And I was very clear that I didn't want to waste possibilities. I didn't want to reach, like, I don't know, 40 years old thinking, oh my God, I followed people's desires of wanting to be something that I knew it was not what I wanted. I had too many examples of that in my life around me to just decide for that. So I was very clear with them. And from there, I started from September 2016 to travel with Guruji. I went to Switzerland first. We did darshan tours around. It was really crazy. It's really nice. And then we went to India. I went to Vrindavan when we inaugurated the temple, the ashram in Vrindavan. Then I stayed there even more. So I spent 1 month in India with Guruji to serve him. And then I got really destroyed. I have to be honest. Guruji was really going tough. Think about it. You just joined Hinduism. You have no idea of what a guru is. You have no idea how to serve. You have no idea of the culture. And then you're sent to South India with the etiquette of the guru to serve the guru directly. There was nobody. There was Anshu, but at the time, Anshu was not as useful as might be today. Like, he was also not that practical and didn't know that much. So Guruji was really, really intense. And at one moment, I remember, I think I was in Chennai. I'm not sure, but I think in Chennai, or in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, and I'm looking at the floor. I'm going towards the bus, and I'm thinking, why the hell am I here? I should just go away. I should just leave. This is too much. And it was because Guruji got upset in the morning because I spoke to him while he was having breakfast. And in my mind, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I can speak to people. Like, it was really mind-blowing. And then after some days, towards the end of the pilgrimage, I went to him, walking towards his room in the corridor in Rameshwaram. And I said, Guruji, I'm sorry. And he said, for what? Because I am failing in serving you. Yeah. And he said, yeah, I see that. And I said, yes, but I'm really trying my best. And he started to laugh and he said, yes, but your best is not enough. And he just left and he went in his room. And I was like, what? So how does it work? Like, how does it work? A world where your best is not enough? It doesn't work like this. Like, it's impossible. Like, my best is my best. And so that was really intense. And after we went back, he stopped basically talking to me for around 1 year. Like, he really, really put me far away. And I was like, I have no idea what to do. But the life in the ashram, the problem of the life in the ashram is that people think that you go in an ashram and all your problems are solved because they're in your house. Yeah, you have problem with your people in your house, with your family, with the people around you, with your colleagues, with, you know, like the mentality of the world. But the problem is not outside. The problem is in your mind. You are the problem. We are the problem. We are our problem. So when you go in an ashram, even if you go and you become a renunciant, until you renounce to your mind, you didn't renounce to the world. And so Guruji once, he told me, he said, the problem of you people is that you think you left the world outside, but you come in here and you bring the world inside. So you didn't actually leave everything. You bring the world inside here and then you keep living it in your mind. And I spent that year really intensely. But I learned a lot of things, and Guruji he kept saying, like, I need to keep you far away because you judge me too much. You judge me too much. And every time I asked him, I said, but how do I stop that? Like, how can I not judge you? And he said, transcend your mind. And, you know, and then I was going to him and you just ask him, how are you? And I said, somehow every time he asked me how I was going into negativity. And then every time I was thinking, why every time you go into negativity? Just be positive. Tell him nice things of what happened. It's not only bad your life, but every time he asked me, I said negative things. And then he said, every time I told him about my problems, he looked at me and he said, transcend your mind. And it became kind of a mantra, what he kept telling me, just transcend your mind. Every answer to my question was transcend your mind, transcend your mind. And it sounds cool in movies again, or maybe like in animes or cartoons, but in reality, if I just tell you transcend your mind, it doesn't mean anything. It's like if you come to me and I say, hey, how do I draw? And he says, just draw. Just draw. And you're like, wait a minute, it doesn't work like this. That's how you do it. It doesn't work like this. So for me, it was absolutely useless. For as beautiful and spiritually worded as the concept, just transcend your mind. And I was like, yeah, transcend your mind. But how? Like, how do you transcend the mind? You're stuck in the mind. So he after a while, I started to see around and I started to try to use my brain. I am stupid, but too stupid after all these months. So I look around and I see people around him and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I can't be close to him because they judge him. Because I judge him, yeah? I can't be close to him because I judge him. But what about the other people? And I started to look at them and I think, well, Pankaj is not Superman. It's just he has a mind. I spoke with him, like for sure he judges. Like, everybody judges. And I look at Aniruddha, you know, Swami Aniruddha, Swami Revati, and Aradhaka, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. Or should they judge? That's with the trick. Like, that something doesn't work. And so one night, I remember I'm there and I changed the question. It wasn't like just, what should I do to stop judge? And I said, Guruji, you said it to be close to you, I don't have to judge you. And he said, yes. Cool, but what about the people that are in the bungalow with you that are close to you? Are you saying that they don't judge you? And Guruji said, no. And that was one of the greatest teachings of my life. He said, no, it's not that they don't judge me, but they don't follow the judgment. It's a massive, mind-blowing teaching, honestly, one of the greatest one. Like, everybody judges, but what do you follow in that judgment? There is such a chain of thoughts that follows judgment. But you have to choose, and you have to learn to be strong enough not to choose and go down that road of bad judgment. But every time you're like in front of a crossroad where you can decide whether you go through fucking positive and you focus on the nice things, or you focus on the negative one. And what he told me that day is that I need to train my mind to make the right choices, to follow the right thoughts. This doesn't mean that I stop judging him. I still judge him by the day. Today, after all these years, after everything that I've seen, I still judge him. But the first judgment comes, and then I just don't follow it. I don't entertain that judgment. I go back to the rest. So that was a great, great teaching. And after he taught me that, I started to, practice it, and actually worked, because I stopped following that judgment, and I went back to be close to him, and I went back traveling with him, and I've been around with him. And you might have heard him at Navaratri when he said that to be close to him is not that easy. Yeah, many people want to be close to him, and I understand them. I myself want to be close to him. But he said, when you are close to the fire, you have to be able to stand the heat. This is really true. It's absolutely true, because close to the master, you receive an incredible amount of love that you would receive anyway. Each of us receive that amount of love. But how do you receive it is a different way. And you have to start to change your discernment and change your mindset, and start to see that even when he smashes you, and he really tries and he crushes your ego, it's for two reasons. The first one is because he loves you. Something that really has to become really strong inside of you. And the second reason is because you asked him to do that. That's the craziest thing. You're actually going to complain around saying, oh my God, he looked at me like that. Oh, he's so unfair. But at the same time, you're the one who signed the contract as a devotee, and you asked him, please destroy my ego. How does he destroy your ego? Destroying your ego is very easy. Just it's a fight. He's going to destroy it. You asked him to do something and you complain. It just doesn't make any sense. And he's really good. Really, really good. I believe you also know that he's really good in that. And at the same time, he's incredibly sweet. Really, really, really sweet. And so you move around into this area. And as I said, after 1 year that I was there, I don't know, I forgot. I had too many initiations to remember when they were, but I think it was in 2017, it was like the 10th of October of 2017, I got initiated into brahmachari. It was really nice. It was a great day. I was really happy about it. And after I became brahmachari, I went on doing my job. I was actually in the garden. I studied philosophy, and so you think, okay, it should put you in the academy or in the knowledge department. No, I went there, and Guruji put him in the garden, because it was great, actually, being in the garden, understand the cycle of life, nature, patience, everything has its time to blossom, to build up, to work. Like, it really teaches you a lot. And then I slowly transitioned into philosophy and the knowledge department more and more. And then one day he called me and he said, soon I will upgrade you. I will make you rishi. And I said, okay. It was like, okay. And then we went to India, to the 9 goddesses pilgrimage. And that was complete annihilation. It was complete madness, because maybe most of you, I believe, know the story of my hair and how I got the shika, and how I made a mess with him because I was upset in the depth of my heart, and then it was a mess, and then Guruji threw me away, and it was complete madness. That was a really crazy day. But in the transition as a rishi, just to give an idea, when we were on top of 9 Devis, on the top of a hill somehow, where Sati's eye fell, Guruji, amongst the hundreds of things that he told me while he was unveiling every type of secret I had in my mind, kept far away from anyone, he said, I told you make you rishi, but you showed me I cannot trust you. I was like, okay, so it's the end of the rishiness. There's no way out. But then, and that Navaratri of the same year, he made me a Rishi. And he said, despite what you did. And it was the year that Swami Tulsidas became Swami. And even then it was funny because he made us do 108 parikramas around the tent. And it was funny because I don't actually tell this story so often because it's a weird story. But you know, I think it's Justin Timberlake who has "What Goes Around Comes Around." You know, it's this song of Justin Timberlake. Maybe you heard it. And I remember at the time was Navaratri, was I think the second day because it was Brahmacharya day. And I'm just I'm in the bathroom listening to "What Goes Around Comes Around." There is this "What Goes Around Comes Around." It's going on. And in that moment, I received a call from Revati and said, Guruji decided to make you Rishi, but what you have to do is you have to keep going around the tent. So I said, "What goes around comes around." And it was really weird because I had to just turn around the tent for 108 times with Swami Tulsidas, and it was weird. So I became a Rishi. And then I stayed Rishi for, I think, 2.5 years, and it was nice. I enjoyed, was in the ashram. The ashram is really an amazing environment. Community is an amazing environment if you want to grow, because there's no way out. You're going to meet so many different people and mentalities and aspects of who you are and yourself that you're forced to grow. You either succumb and you just close every door to the outside and you stop growing and you just go back to life outside, or if you stay, there's no way you don't face your problems. And that's the beauty of Sangha. Sangha will uplift you a lot, but to uplift you, like in the Samudra Manthan, like there's the poison that has to come out. And community is so good in showing you problems. It's amazing, amazing. You will hate people, to then just very quickly realize, or maybe not that quickly, that it's not their problem, it's your problem. It's amazing. It's amazing. Actually, you are the problem. And it's not only that you're the problem, you're also the solution. And to find that solution is find out what you really don't like, because it's probably part of who you are, or who your parents was, or something that reminds you of something very bad, because you're the only problem. And so slowly the community will help you into build a different character, will change you. Guruji will help. And all the people will be just tools and instruments of Guruji to shape you in different ways and to bring out what you actually have inside of you. And you will start to acquire different sides of other people, because you will be in a very big family, and you will find a lot of things that you like in people, and you will start to integrate them, because humans just change and grow through examples of other, which is like basically imitating other people. So community is amazing because you can find so many nice things from people and start to implement it in your life. You don't need to become like them. You can start to take them as an example. And this is also a very beautiful concept that Guruji taught me, that is, jealousy is absolutely useless. Because rather than looking at what other people have that you don't, you should look at what other people have and be inspired by them. So jealousy is this double-edged sword, where you can look at it in a way that is going to just hurt you and like make you feel like you're less and just hate somebody else, or like have very bad feelings toward that person. But at the same time, is a great opportunity for you to learn from that person and implement it in your life so that you can learn and be inspired from it. And why is community so amazing? Because you're going to have so many people who are in so many ways better than you in many things. They might sing better than you, they play harmonium better than you, they're more funny, they're able to talk better than you, they're closer to Guruji than you. There's so many possibilities, like if you look around you in your life, you will find so many reasons to look at people thinking they are better than me. And when you have that mentality, like in a negative way, you're going to start to be jealous automatically. You start to look at their faults and their problems, and you're just going to blame them for many things. But actually, community should be the opposite. You will look at these people and be inspired by them. And I give a practical example. One morning in 2016, I wake up, and Swami Niruddha had the room very close to me. So I wake up, it's late, it's like 7:20. Prayers already started. So I go outside of my room. ready to go for prayers, and Swami Ruda opens the door and he says, "Oh, you're late for prayers." And I was like, "Yeah, you too." It's like, I'm late for prayers, but you too. And Swami Ruda gave me a great teaching that day. He said, well, I told you many times, don't look at my faults. Don't be inspired by my faults. It's true, I'm late. But be inspired and take example from people who are not late. And then he made a list of people who are always at prayers. Yeah, he said, look at Pankaj, look at Keshava, they're always at prayers. They wake up early, they go for prayers. Just be inspired by that. Don't take me as a justification for you to be late, because that's what community can become. It can become like you can just use bad habits of people and make it a reason and a justification for not changing and not doing some stuff. But the true beauty of community is that everything you have around you can push you to become better, can push you to look at these people and say, wow, look at that one, he's amazing in singing and he learned in such a small amount of time. Look at that one, he's chanting so good, and he's just kept doing it. You know, you start to look at all these things and you learn slowly with time to integrate them in your life and in your lifestyle so that you can change and you can become who you truly are, because you actually don't know. We don't know who we are. So yeah, I was a very happy Rishi, honestly. You know, you probably have seen me talking, you see me around, I was very happy in general. I'm not a depressed personality. So I was just going around, I was enjoying my life. And I was thinking, don't make me Swami. I was like, don't. It's just like, I have so many things to do. I already have so many duties. Just, it doesn't make any sense. Plus, I'm not ready. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. And Guruji on, the thing, it was the day before Guru Purnima in last year. He was talking and he said, you know, because people think they're ready, but then they're not. And I remember I was sitting down with Swamini Aparajita, Swamini from Italy. And I said, you see, Swamini, he's talking about me. Yeah, I am that arrogant person. It's like, I was really sure it wasn't like a fake humility. I was like, this is true. I'm just like, this is absolutely my autobiography. And somehow, I have no idea how, to the surprise of many and myself, part of that surprise, he just decided to initiate me the day after. I just got initiated from scratch. Weird situation, very fun initiation. I had a lot of fun. We were laughing a lot, having a lot of jokes, and he almost changed my name in Swami Mario. It's funny. I almost became Swami Mario. It wasn't danger. I mean, he looked very serious when he wanted to change my name. But then he stayed Akash. And that was the funny thing, is that when he said Andrea is dead and Akash is born again, is something that he really kept through. Like, I was Akash as a devotee. I became Akashananda as a brahmachari. I became VishwaAkashananda as a rishi. And then I became a Swami VishwaAkashananda as a Swami. So it was weird. They really kept that Akash, and somehow there has to be something that I don't know what it is, but connected to that name, because otherwise it makes no sense. It really kept it throughout, and honestly, I really can't complain. But that was something I really wanted to share. I guess I can go on to talk for like 20 days probably of all the things that happened in 6.5 years with him, traveling so much. But that's something I really wanted to share, because I don't know, I work there in South Africa, but the more I travel, the more I realize, you know, one question I had lately in the last years was, why is Guruji keep mentioning the word miserable, that you look miserable, like you want to be miserable? And I was looking at my life and I'm like, I don't feel miserable. Like, my life is amazing. I don't feel miserable. It's like, actually, my life is nice. Yeah, I have my ups and downs, but if you put it on the scale, our life is awesome. We have a living guru. He's completely crazy. He's just mind-blowing. He's absolutely unpredictable. There's no way you can understand what he's doing. He's just amazing. Like, our life is just, it's no boredom at all, because he's the source of chaos. And I love it. I love chaos. I love it. And so I never really identify with this miserable thing, even though sometimes I do, like when I try to look at myself from the outside and I think, I'm really getting into this miserable mentality, but not that much, honestly, not that much to say, oh yes, is this, justifies the reason why Guruji speaks always about is being miserable. But then I started to travel. I traveled with him, I traveled around, I started to travel alone, and I traveled more and more and more. And I'm very lucky in that sense. I really travel a lot, and I travel a lot with him, and I look at people around, and honestly, I started to realize why he says, and he speaks about being miserable, because many devotees look miserable. Many followers look miserable because we're good in talking. Like if I put any of you in the situation I am in and you have to share your life, you're not going to look miserable, because it's that moment where, like you have the spotlight and you're going to be like recognized and you're actually remembering all these moments. But then I look around and I see actually when they go around and look at them, they have the sad face. They don't look happy. They look miserable. It's I don't know if it's something that you realize, but, and I'm not saying applies to all of you, but it's something maybe you can think about and I don't know, check with yourself whether it's true. Because sometimes they say, oh, I went back home and my parents are against it, and they say that I don't look happy. And sometimes I look at these people and I say, well, it's true. I would tell you the same. You don't look happy, man. The process. And I'm like, I don't think it's the process. You can't blame the process all the time. It's not about the process. It's a choice. So Guruji said, you either follow judgment, you're anyway going to judge, but you follow the negative one or the positive one. Like, where do you want to put yourself? And so I keep looking at this, not all of them, but a good amount of devotees. And if I was somebody from the outside coming here, looking at these specific people, I would think that there's something wrong. I would not think, oh yeah, they're happy, they really found their place. As I told you, I closed my contacts with my family at the time in 2016. And I grew, the more actually I went on with Guruji, the more I grew in the love for them. So I loved them way more than I was able before closing. And then slowly they went, the contacts went back. But also because I was very clear. I was like, just call me Akash. Like, no, don't call me for my name before. I want you to call me Akash. And I was specific on these people, like on my family, because like, you're the people who have the idea of Andrea, my son, my brother, and whatever, more rooted than the others. So I want you to understand, I don't want to be that person anymore. Not because I was a bad person. What I was before was not a bad person, just to be clear. And I kept a lot of things that I had before. It's just that I need and I want them to respect my path. And that was a big message I sent them. I said, you either respect my guru and my path, or I don't need you in my life. I can go on loving you, going on my spiritual path. I don't actually need you. And the moment they understood it, they also had to change. And anyway, whenever you take a path like this, you will force people around you to change. Some will leave, change. Some will stay and grow closer, change. It's still change. Whatever your actions are, you're going to change people around you. And you're going to allow Guruji to make his work and make his magic around. But you have to be very rooted in your path. And that's something that you gain when you listen to his satsang, when you study the Bhagavad Gita, when you listen to the stories of the saints, of the Bhagavatam, and you get deeper into that knowledge, because you will need those stories to learn how to behave in specific moments, to know that the senses are not going to help you, that there are so many possible ways to fall down, that you really need to do a great job in staying rooted on that boat. And so in conclusion, the part of being miserable, I started to understand why Guruji keeps mentioning it. Because it's true, and try to notice, not only on the others, because it's always easy to notice on the others, but look at yourself. Like, look when you look around, when you walk around, when you go around, how do you look? Do you look happy? You look sad, tired, negative. Like, how do you bring yourself out to the world? And then remember that whatever you bring out in the world is a mirror of Guruji's teachings and what he's teaching us. So if you look very sad, depressed, negative, and all these things, you're going to be the mirror for people of what Guruji is giving us. And I believe that we cannot hide behind the fact that there is a process. I don't think we can. It's too easy as a way out. I think as in Krishna chapter 6, when Arjuna says that the mind is difficult to control and it's almost impossible, Krishna says, yeah, but with constant practice and detachment, you can do it. And I think the constant practice is not just sadhana, because it's like, yeah, I do my kriya every day. I do my job every day. I do likita job every day. I do my puja every day. You can do whatever. You can do like 3 yagnas a day, but if you don't put the right intention behind what you're doing, what is the big purpose? You're going to change anyway because you're doing an offering to God. Yeah. Chapter 7 is very clear. There are 4 types of devotees. They're all righteous. But what type of devotee do you want to be? And I'm not saying that we all have to go around and smile and laugh and whatever. But I know from personal experience, the reason why most of my family changed, even people don't like Guruji. I have people in my family who don't like Guruji. But they respect what he did in my life. And they look at me and they say, I don't want to accept it, or I'm just like, I'm against it. But I see you're happy. I can see you found your place. I can see you really like that thing. And this is such a big change in life of people because you're actually going to shine and, yeah, represent the teachings of Guruji at the level best. That's what I think. So I didn't want to judge all of you in mass. Like, I'm talking also about myself when I talk about being miserable. It's just something that I really think about many times when I walk around, when I look around, when I talk to people, and what I do, because what is the purpose then if we choose to be miserable and not to be happy? It's wrong. I think it's wrong.
Thank you, Swami. It's you put it so simply to understand from your experiences and your lessons with Guruji. Just to go a little back, you spoke about that when you near the master and the fire, the fire of love. And he destroys the ego, right? Can you maybe share with us an experience of what it's like for the ego to be destroyed, or this fire of love, since you around him all the time? Maybe any specific experience you had. There could be many or just one specific. I'm always curious and interesting to know, because Guruji always talk about it all the time, that not everyone can be around him or handle him.
Well, I have a very big encyclopedia about these possible things. So the thing you have to realize is the actual only problem when you're close to him is that if you take things personally, he's going to murder you. Not because he will murder you, it's because you're going to kill yourself. It's you. Again, you're the problem. And I remember one of the things that opened my eyes already in 2016. Thank God that happened. It was me and Sugan. Yeah, the legend. My God, that man is a legend. So we were there, yeah. And when Anshul left half of the trip, then Sugan came, and I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Because it was really weird. It was too happy, too I was like, how is he like this? What is wrong with this guy? What is wrong? What is right? I was trying to understand what's wrong, what's right with this. And I remember I asked him once, said, because he was singing, he was drumming, and he was talking, and, he was doing all these things. And I said, joking, so are you saying you can do everything? And he looked at me with utmost confidence, and he said, yes. And I was like, what is wrong with you? It's like, who are you? So anyway, we are in Rameshwaram, yeah? We are washing Guruji's clothes. At the time, I didn't know how to wash them the Indian way, yeah, under the shower, we would have powder. I was like, I'll do it in a bucket. It was weird. I had a washing machine in my house. So anyway, we are there, and cracking jokes. And I'm not cracking jokes. I'm just observing the relationship between Guruji and Sugan, making jokes. And then Sugan did something really wrong that I don't even remember what it was, but I clearly remember it was incredibly wrong. It was about the clothes. And Guruji stopped and he started to shout. And I was like, what is wrong with you? How can you be so retarded? And I was like, oh my God, we're going to die. That was my thought, very negative. We're going to die now. He's going to destroy, he's going to bring out like the biggest secret of my life, and it's just going to be the end. And just, I'm going to die. I'm going to be born again in like 3 yugas and whatever. And Chicken is laughing, and he's laughing. Oh, yes, I'm so retarded. I'm so retarded. He's like, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? Yeah, you're retarded. And he's like, yeah, I'm so retarded. And Guruji starts to laugh with him. And they laugh of how retarded he is. And that was the end of the story. And then just went on laughing, and that was just the end of the drama. And I was thinking, what the hell just happened? Oh, and it took me actually months to realize he didn't take it personally. And he legitimately thinks he's retarded. Like if you go to Sugan, you call Sugan now and you ask him, are you retarded? He's going to say yes. Like, no jokes. Like, he's just going to say, yes, I'm retarded. But not in a bad way. He's just going to be like, oh my God, yeah, he's just take a leash and just like beat himself up. He's just going to be, yes, I'm retarded. And right now, after all these years close to Guruji, if you ask me, are you retarded? I can just be like, yeah, I actually am. So I have no problem telling you I'm retarded. Like many times I'm retarded. Like I'm so stupid. But I'm not only stupid. Yeah. So I'm not only stupid. And you know, that was what Sugan showed me on that day. It was a great day, because I realized if I don't take things personally, my life with Guruji is going to be amazing. Amazing. But how can I not take things personally? Well, I don't have to have a problem with that. And of course, Guruji is amazing in finding where you have a problem. Here, practical examples. So I think that since 2016, I know that rule, just accept what he says because it's true. He's not judging the entire universal existence of who you are. He's just telling you in a specific situation and in similar situations in your life, you are an idiot. It's absolutely understandable. Look at your life. You're an idiot. Like everybody in this call, in specific situation, instances of your life, you're an idiot. In others, you might be a mastermind, an incredible genius, and the best person in the world. But in many other situations, or maybe not that many, you're an idiot. It's very easy. And if you go beyond your ego, says, no, it's not true, and you accept this, your life is going to be amazing, because you can be like, yeah, I'm just an idiot. Yeah, and I'm also intelligent. I'm both. So think about that. Since 2016, I know this rule. So it actually helped me a lot in my relationship with Guruji, so much so that once I was with Swami Parantapa, another one that I love Parantapa. Parantapa is a legend. I love him. But when you have a problem with Guruji and Parantapa is around, that's the worst combination in the universe. Like, you don't want that to happen, because for as much as Swami Parantapa is a great fuel for Guruji's happiness, when you're close to Guruji and Guruji is upset with you, somehow Parantapa becomes like the greatest explosion in the world that you can have. And somehow, every time I had big problems with Guruji, Parantapa was there, ready to not help me, but dig the hole deeper into the ground so that I could die miserably and forever. So Swami Parantapa is amazing, as I was saying. And we're with Swami Parantapa, we're walking, Guruji's there, and I remember Guruji told me something, and maybe it was because we were walking, maybe because there was the wind blowing against, so I couldn't really hear what he said, and also because Guruji was like, blah, 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 blah. That's what I heard. So I was like, I have no idea what he said. So I asked him, sorry, what? And he says, and I said, Guruji, I didn't understand. And he says, and you know, like then on the first time you don't understand with Guruji, you kind of go to him and I say, sorry, I didn't understand. And it's still acceptable, but then he tells you again and you still don't understand. And that's when you start to look around to see what the people understood. And they can maybe tell you what he said, but people look at you and saying, I have no idea what he said. And so you ask him again. And then again. So I asked him 3 times. And he gets upset. When I asked him the 3rd time, Guruji gets upset and said, what is wrong with you? I feel like when I talk to you, the distance between your ear and your brain is gigantic. And I felt so good in that moment. And I looked at him like I was so happy. And I said, yes, exactly how I feel, Guruji. Sometimes I feel you speak to me, and between my ear and my brain, there's such a big distance. I have no idea what you said. And it's true. So I was super happy. So you see, trigger depends on how you take it. And I was honest. I was like, this is exactly how I feel. And I was so happy. It's like, you understand me. He's amazing. And yeah, Guruji was very upset with the fact that I was not triggered. I was like, oh, whatever. And I just went on walking. And that was the end of the story. Which is pretty easy around him if you don't take it personal. The problem is that you take it personal, or most of us take it personal. Another very classical example. I come back after a lot of traveling with him, a lot of seva, like a lot of departments, a lot of stuff, really, really a lot of seva. And we're going to Switzerland. We're traveling in the car. Swami is driving. I'm in the back. It's me and Pankaj. Guruji's there. He's doing his things on the phone, answering people probably. And I'm in the back doing nothing. I'm doing japa, stuck in the traffic to cross Switzerland to get into Italy. What do you do when the average of the time you sleep is like 3 to 4 hours? You do it for years and your life is incredibly busy. You're in the traffic in Switzerland and nothing is happening around you. You fall asleep. There's no way you stay awake. And Guruji turns, he sees that I'm sleeping, he says, Akash, my God, you're sleeping again. You're so lazy. And I threw in the bin 6 years of training, God, don't take it personal. And I was like, sorry, what? I was like, sorry, what? I said, I'm lazy. I said, you're so lazy, man, sleeping again. And I didn't really walk my talk in that point. I was really upset. And I was like, come on, man, you can't say that. I was like, you can't say that. The truth is, he's the only entitled person to say that. You're thinking you can't say that, but actually you somehow pay him to say that. It's like you go to a therapist. You say, just like, tell me the worst thing you can say so that I can learn from it. And it was really a strong moment. I was like, how can you say how can you say that I am lazy? The truth is for as much as I am a very, very active person and I'm involved in many things, I'm also lazy. So again, he's right. It was just that in that moment, the last thing I wanted to do was accept it. But you see, the difference is if you're not close to him physically, it's very difficult and unlikely that he will come in your weakest moment to remind you of your weakness. It's very unlikely to happen because it's not always close by. But we are so close. It's a very dangerous area because in every moment it could bring out the worst thing inside of you. You actually have no control. He can do whatever he wants. And also he has, like, you're an open book. He knows every trigger, anything, any problem, any possible thing that he wants to trigger. He can do it whatever moment, whatever situation he wants. So it's a very dangerous place to be. I believe this is one side of it. And the other side is that if you're not close to him physically, well, first of all, I just want to remark always, like, being close to him physically doesn't mean that you're actually close to him, just to make it clear. It's like, it's absolutely true, because I can be sitting 1 meter from him having food with my mind back in Italy, like 10 years ago, playing PlayStation, joking aside, while you're there in South Africa, you're washing dishes and you're so immersed in his love and the relationship with him that you're way closer to him than I am. Yeah. First point, that is absolutely true. But also the other side of the coin is that, you know, when you're not close to him, you make your imagination goes wild. So your fantasy goes, and you have an idea of who Guruji is, of what he does, what he likes. Because most of the time when you think about somebody that likes something, you're thinking about what you like. So you make your own idea and story about what you would like to do with him, and how it's going to be amazing to be with him. And you're going to talk about spirituality, you're going to talk about God, and he's going to show you the greatest mystery of the universe. And the reality is, you have no idea who he is. I have no idea who he is. And he keeps changing. Plus, he doesn't like what you like. He likes what he likes, and he wants to do what he wants. Whatever. And whatever it is. And everything is a tool for him to teach you something. In Mauritius, during the pilgrimage, I was destroyed. I was devastated. I was super tired. I was leading the physical pilgrimage. I was leading the virtual pilgrimage. And I was really, really in a lack of sleep. So it's evening. Well, it's night. It's 1 a.m. And I want to go to sleep because I wake up in the morning, I go by all these things, and there's just the entire day and everything starts again. And I want to leave. So I bow down and I'm ready to go, to go away. And Guruji looks at me and he says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I go sleep. I'm destroyed." And he said, "No, sit down. You stay here." Not even for a particular reason, like we're gonna read the Gita, we're gonna draw, we're gonna paint. No. You just sit there. Like, he didn't even give me something actively to do. He just said, "No, you stay awake." And I'm like, yeah, I mean, of course, I'm used to. So I was like, okay, but I was destroyed. I died on that couch shortly after, but I was very tired. And I think one of the part of why he says that being close to the fire you get burned is because being close to Guruji is not being close to your idea of Guruji. It's actually being close to what Guruji wants to show you, what he wants to be. So if he decides not to sleep, Rishananda Jita, as was telling me this morning, he was awake until 4 a.m. He tried to go to sleep twice, spine down. And Guruji was painting Kali. It was really nice. And he said, "Where are you going?" And Jiva said, "To sleep. Prayers, I wake up at 5. And Guruji said, no, stay here and paint." I gave him to paint. And then Jiva tried again to go to sleep. And he said, "Where are you going?" "No, stay here." And you see, it's incredibly sweet and it's amazing. But at the same time, like, you will challenge your mind. It will challenge your physical resilience of being able to just not do what your mind and body want you to do. And he will just push. In Mauritius, it was funny. He came to me and he said, I want to paint Ram. Yeah, he was telling me already in SPN, and then we went to Mauritius. And I said, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, Guruji, show me which one it is, and then let's do it. And then at around 2 a.m, 2 a.m, after every day going to sleep at 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning, plus full day darshan, going around, seva, and all this kind of stuff. Around 2 a.m, we find the big canvas where we can draw it, around 1 meter 80, 1 meter 50 of canvas. So big Ram, very big Ram. And then he gives me the picture. We find the picture of Ram, and he says, "Can you draw it?" And I said, "Yeah." "Well, when?" And he said, "Tomorrow I want to paint." I was like, okay. So I started to draw. I started to draw at 3 a.m. I finished at 9. At 9 a.m, just put it on top of the wall. Like, I hanged it with 2 things. And I sent him a photo and I said, "Good night." I was like, "Thank you, good night." And that's the reality. And then it's not that you wake up like at 4 in the afternoon. You wake up at 11, 12, and then you go on. And then you go for darshans and you go this, and you're required somehow to be really there. And these are many of the tools that he uses to teach you to be there, to be confident, to be present, to be sharp, to be there. But he's going to challenge many things. So when you think, I think this is part of it, but it's just one side. I think for as much as the fire burns is the heat and the beauty of the coziness of being surrounded by the fire is amazing, but sometimes it burns. And I've been in multiple situations where if you're not careful, it really burns. Really, really burns. But out of love. Yeah. I had a notebook in South India, and I wrote gigantic in the rules of what I was learning, and I wrote very big in full caps. I wrote, remember that he does it because he loves you. And I was like, that has to be your mantra, because when you're around him, yeah, he's going to contradict himself. He's just gonna keep trying to make you fall to then make you stand again. But when you fall, it's still painful. Then it's gonna lift you up and it's gonna teach you how to walk. But you're still gonna fall. Still gonna fall. So there is this danger, unless you grow more and more into accepting how you are and who you are, and the only problem and the barrier between you and his love, it's you, your mind. It's the only problem. But still, easy words are way more difficult to put in practice. Way more difficult. But still, he is incredibly sweet and amazing. And I think many times, like some of us, I don't do it that much anymore. I used to do it also because I realized it's giving the wrong impression of who he actually is. He's incredibly sweet. He's incredibly sweet. But the mind is so trained to always look for the negative that when you tell the stories, you tell the negative one, but I could tell you like countless amazingly sweet experiences with him. So yeah, the fire burns, but it's also heating you up a lot and gives you energy.
Swami. So you mentioned the dinner table, right? So I'm curious. I heard a lot of experiences of a lot of learning that happens at the dinner table. So maybe you could share an experience with us.
At the dinner table, I can tell you, I mean, it's a famous story. That's a famous story. I love that story because I love Aditya. I have to go. I love Aditya. Aditya is a legend. I was sitting there at that table. It was evening, it was dinner, and they put salad in Guruji's plate. We start with salad. So Guruji's eating salad. And he starts to shoot his salad, and then he's like disgusted face. And he starts to shout and he says, "Who the hell heat up the salad?" And I was very happy. I was like, yes, because it wasn't my fault. So I was like, let's see what happens. Sitting there, I'm enjoying my life. It was like, fine, that is not my fault. Let's see who's going to get beaten up. Even though every time you can be thrown inside very easily. But at the same time, I was like, I didn't do anything this time. So I'm just going to enjoy. He says, who eat up the salad? And Aditya, just very shy and like timidly says, I did. And Guruji says, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Do you heat up the salad in your country? It's like, Aditya says, I'm sorry. What do I do with you being sorry? Nothing changes even if you're sorry. And Aditya is super depressed. He stands up and he goes in the kitchen and it's just like, yeah, on the edge of crying because really I toned it down, but Guruji was really like, just because you heat up the salad, like honestly, like, that's a big thing. You just heat up some salad. It's weird, but it's still not like you didn't murder somebody. Like, who killed my cat? It's a different story. Like, who heat up the salad? Like, and so Aditya goes in the kitchen and he's really depressed. And so I felt like I had to go to him because, like, Aditya, you know why he said that even if you're sorry, nothing changes? And he said, no. And I said, because the reality is that you can keep making mistakes and just keep saying that you're sorry without changing. So being sorry doesn't actually change anything. It's learning from the mistake so that you don't have to be sorry anymore because you're not going to do it anymore. being sorry is good because you realize you made something wrong and it's good to apologize. But at the same time, you can spend a lifetime saying that you're sorry and keep doing the same mistake. And this is just one of the examples of what happens at the dinner table. Like Guruji will use anything, like you eating up the salad or you just breaking something or anything. You can have like a very private conversation in closed doors in another room. He hears that and he says, "What did you say? What did you say? Huh? What are you talking about?" And you're like, "No, nothing. Just come here and tell me what you're speaking about." "Oh, I want to know now. Tell me what you were talking about. You're talking about that." And you're like, "How do you even know?" I was just like, every door was closed. We were just whispering. Like, I didn't even hear what he said. And now you're going to tell me what he said? But that's the reality. This is what happens. And as I say, it's nice and funny. But yeah, you just can get burned very easily. But it's honestly, Guruji, I mean, I think you know this, and like he's the funniest person I ever met in my life. He's too funny. Like his jokes, what he does, what he says is just so funny. So funny. It's just amazing. Really amazing. But yeah, that's everything I can tell you about the dinner table.
Thank you, Swami. I've heard like random stories here and there, so it's always interesting to know what happens at the dinner table. So, do you think maybe we should share the photos and you can like walk us through it and tell us the experiences behind it and stuff?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, everybody's still alive. It's already 2 hours. Are you alive? Yeah. I mean, I see 4 of you, but I don't know the other ones. If yeah. Oh, hey, Jaggerdev. Okay, I will see some of your reactions and believe you're still in the world of the livings. Okay. Yeah, you can show the pictures. Well, you're gonna start with the first one, I guess.
Yes, I'm going to start with the first one. Here we go. So the first one was like so amazing. It's your early days and the early Sangha days, and I thought maybe you can walk us through it.
Oh my God. Yes, that was me with hair. And when I was helping Guruji in the tent to give candies and petals. And everything happened very randomly. I had to go and wash the dishes. So Muktananda at the time just grabbed me and said, "I'll bring you in front. We will skip all the queue." And it was the entire tent I had to go through. And he said, "And I will bring you there because you have seva, and so you have to do that." And I said, "Okay." And so we go there, and then Guruji gives me darshan. And then he says, "Stay here and help me." And I thought, I have dishwashing, but I have to be honest. Like, I would rather stay there with Guruji serving him than go for dishwashing. So I stayed there and I ended up helping him for 4 hours, just staying there, making mistakes. I was incredibly uncomfortable. I was sitting on my leg, and you know, when you sit on your leg and you don't feel it anymore. And it was really painful. I have to be honest. It was really painful, but I survived. I'm still alive, and it was nice. It was nice to serve him. That's what happened in the first picture. In the second one was just me doing seva in the Bhajan Cafe, and that's Rishananta Jita, that's Swami Kanjalochan, of course, and this is Vashishta. That at the time we were, I guess, not even brahmacharis, we were just devotees working in the Bhajan Cafe and just going around. The photo number 3, you saw it is the initiation day in 2016 in August, the Kali Temple, the story I told you earlier. The fourth one is when we went to the resident pilgrimage in South India, and there we are in Sri Rangam, and we made this big picture. And I have the other one here with Swami Tulsidas. You can see it is basically the same, but I'm with Swami Tulsidas. We are there in Sri Rangam. And yes, I don't know which. The fifth one is a random day that I don't particularly remember, where they caught this moment of love and affection from Swami Ravatikanta. I think it was during a yagna for summer sangha, and we were making some games. We were just joking. It was just joking. The sixth one is with Swami Tulsidas, with Rishi Tulsidas at the time. We're just walking around. We went for a walk around here. It was that moment. Jagopal took the photo, Rishi Jagopal, and we were looking at horses. They were like 20 horses just running around. The seventh one is an amazing one. Sometimes people don't see, but there is Guruji on the bottom left. And we are in Rameshwaram. Yeah. And we just quickly went for a photo. I think we had a bath, or we were going to have a bath. It was a nice, very nice day. It's a nice picture. Very nice picture. The eighth one is when we did the Alvars play. I've actually been very lucky. I love that part of doing all these plays around. Bhavani is amazing. It's an amazing director, and she's an amazing teacher. She taught me how to dance. She taught me how to act. And I love to make it. It's so nice, and to see how much Guruji loves plays, that I really advise you, actually, when he comes to South Africa, maybe if you have the possibility, come up with a play, make it, because it's a very transformative experience for yourself and for the audience looking, and it's really, really, really nice. And that was the 12 hours play. We did the Mudal Alvars, and it was 3 of us. It was me, Swami Chida, and Akshar. And we had to dance and do all the mudras. It was Bharatanatyam, and it was really nice. It was really nice. Nice experience. But devastating, even that way. Like, you awake until 2 a.m. every day during events for 2 weeks in a row after Seva. Just like, it's an amazing experience, but it's intense. It's really intense.
So, Swami, the beautiful thing I see about these pictures are the brotherhood. And I was wondering maybe if you can just like share a bit about that on the spiritual path, and how this brotherhood of the Sangha has like helped you on your journey.
Well, what I realized going on in the years surrounded by people is that we don't all have the same values. When you say brotherhood, you mean something. When I say brotherhood, I mean something else. And it's not something bad, but it's just, you're going to make something important that maybe for me is not that much. And with some of the brothers around me, like, sometimes for them was incredibly important, loyalty. And for many different experiences that I told you and connected to my uncle, what I realized is that to love you, I don't need you to be loyal. It's just something that for me is not that important. But some other people would say, like, you're not my brother if you're not loyal. Yeah, this is something that you might experience, and it might change everything. And I guess the best thing that you can do to make friends and the brotherhood that you see here is just, the more you grow and you learn to accept yourself, the more you have to grow and learn to accept the others. So you will make very strong bonds and beautiful bonds, because you will inquire and learn who these people are. And I told you, I mean, the last class I gave was nice, because it was talking about like the beauty of the Sangha, and Swami Shri came in. Swami Shri is a legend. Swami Shri is amazing. Swami Shri is amazing to be around. He's incredibly humble. He's always here, always ready to help. He's amazing. He's amazing. And it's a great source of jealousy, if you want to look at that problem, but he's a great source of inspiration and somebody to really love, because he's awesome and he's so dedicated to Guruji. And so the more you look at the people around you, you see that we all have our problems and we all have weaknesses and strengths, but we're all united in being close to Guruji. So something, again, that I saw a lot traveling is that in many sanghas, there are so many problems, like of people hating each other and just like not talking to each other for years and years. I don't think you have to be you don't have to be best friend with everyone. but you have to respect that we all want the same. We have the same aim, and how much people love Guruji, yeah, even if you don't know them. And of course, with some people you're gonna get more along, and with other people you're gonna go less along. So it's just also depends on your character. Of course, for me, like I spend a lot of time with Anantajitas, yeah, just because we had a similar past and we get along very much. I love to talk with Swami Nirut and Swami Revati. We do a lot of things. Swami Tulsidas, even now that he left, so many people with Jagopal, and I just, of course, it's the character. You will just get along more with some people rather than others, but it doesn't mean that you should not get to know the other ones and make some bonds, because you can learn from everybody. Yeah, and the nice thing is what you call them brothers, because it's part of the family. So you don't need to you didn't really choose them. Like Guruji chose the people in your Sangha for you, so they have a reason to be there. And so while they are there and they make those choices, it's good. And you see, like in picture number 4, you see, oh wow, what a nice picture, me and Swami Revati. But look in the back, that savage of Jagopal, just photobombing. You see, just got a photobomber in the back there. It's just, it's funny. And in the number 7, you think, oh wow, so sweet, they're so nice. But Tulsidas is opening his hands and he's covering the face of somebody that is not in that picture, you see. So everything can be seen in many different ways. You see, Tulsidas is the only one putting his arms up and he's covering, or maybe it's my hand. No, it's actually, I think it is. So anyway, it's funny. This is what you will grow into, this relationship that is entangled in service for Guruji and the willingness to have the same. And it's something you realize in a community. You will find many different people with different attitudes and characters, but if you look deeper, you will see we all want the same, and it's going to unite you a lot with all of them, and it's very nice. But if you go on the number 9, we are on the boat in front of Rameshwaram. And Guruji, look at his face, he's not that happy, he's doing his stuff. And I abused that photo because I looked good. He doesn't look that good. There's another picture where he looks better than this, and I look worse. But at the time I said, okay, whatever, it's my profile picture. I should use the one that I look good. And that was how it ended up to be a profile picture. And it was funny because after that moment, after he took the picture, he didn't even know I was behind there. He just turned, he looked up, and he was like, what the hell are you doing there? It was funny. And then number 10, of course, is when I got initiated as a rishi. And actually, that's a good point. If you want to take it with you, I don't know how much you can relate with that, is when he gave me the clothes, I was scared. I have to be honest. I had fear of, I don't know if I can handle that situation. I don't know how to do it. I don't know. And so my fear ended up into like this, I would say this miserable phase. I was like, I'm scared. Yeah, I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to tell you I'm scared, but it looked like I was scared. And he gave me the clothes and he said, "You're not happy?" As if to say, like, I'm just like, I'm giving you something like responsibility and giving you these things. Like, are you not happy? And I said, no, I am happy. But at the moment, more than happy, I was scared. Yeah. And then I had to learn because as in Spider-Man, we learn when Uncle Ben dies, it says, with great power comes great responsibility. And I keep making this joke because the new generations that even watch Spider-Man, that is ridiculous to me. So they don't understand, but we're all old enough to know that Uncle Ben died for the sake of Spider-Man, to learn that from great power comes great responsibility. And so when he gave me that, rather than like the nice moment of like, oh, yes, it's a beautiful moment between us in the mission and I have this thing and I'm happy of the responsibility, I felt the weight of it and I was scared. And look at the difference between 10 and 11. Look at my face in 11 and look at my face in 10. In 10, I'm like, I'm tense. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not sure I can do this. I was like, I don't even know how to do it. I don't know how to handle this thing. But if you look at 11, look at both of us, like Guruji is still happy. Guruji is, his face is just happy. It's like, that's his natural face. But look at me, I'm very happy. There's no fear in that moment. I was so much into the relationship between me and him that after that 3 years developed, and it became way less based on fear and on problem expectations, and more on just beauty and fun and like acceptance. That there you can see I'm not thinking about the weight of responsibility, because I don't think anymore to be the one responsible so much, because I know that he's the one that is doing everything. And if he decided to do that, he decided to do that. I don't have that much to say about it. I just can accept it. And you can see the difference in the happiness in number 11. And in the 12th one, we are in Vrindavan, in Radharaman. And Guruji looks so beautiful and in bliss. Not because he's looking at a devotee or somebody, because he's looking at the deity. Where Radharaman is looking there and he's so immersed into it. And nice. It was a nice selfie. Nice selfie. That's my profile picture on WhatsApp that I never use. So I'm like, number 13 was a random day when we sat down and we're talking, having fun, close to Kali. Just very random. We just all met there. We just sat down there and we random Prabhus. 14 is in Barsana. We are going around and yeah, it's just traveling around with Guruji in India is one of the best experiences of my life in general. Traveling with Guruji is amazing. India is amazing. As I said, I love cows. I really love cows. I relax around cows. Like that. When there is so much going on, somehow my brain can't really evaluate that much anymore. I can't analyze everything. So I kind of shuts off somehow. So I relax. In madness and in chaos, I relax. And India is an amazing place to be in the middle of chaos, especially with Guruji, like just hundreds of people moving, things like people honking, shouting, spitting everywhere, just like, what is going on? And your brain cannot process everything. And then you just end up very happy. So I'm there, very happy, walking around with Giridhari, enjoying life. Just going around, meeting saints, having darshan of deities. Just, what else do you want in life? It's awesome. Number 15 is again Vrindavan. And that's nice because there is a similar picture of how much we look like Shirdi Sai and two of his disciples in basically the same position. I just don't remember who sent it to me, because otherwise I can show it to you. That was a nice moment. We're going out and Vrindavan is amazing. If you never went to Vrindavan with Guruji, you have to go to Vrindavan with Guruji. It's an amazing experience. You cannot not do that. And 16, we're making pizzas, best food in the world, created by the gods themselves. Chapter 19 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, amongst food, I am pizza. It's right clear. Now, if you read it, it's chapter 19. Not everybody has it. It's a secret chapter, only for the chosen ones who talk about pizza. Guruji made, I think, like 70 pizzas. Not sure, but it really made a lot of pizzas that day for everyone. Because also, this is also something that I learned with Guruji. Guruji makes food for everybody. Like, he always eats with everyone. Like, it's so rare that he's eating something and he doesn't give you a piece. It's crazy. Crazy how generous it is. It really teaches you, like, to share everything that you have. And he keeps doing it. It's really awesome. It's really great. That's
and Swami, I can see in picture 14 you're carrying Giridhari. Any experiences you can share with us?
Yes. When in 2016 we were in the hotel room and he had to give me Giridhari. So he gave me Giridhari and he said, be careful. And I said, yeah, I will be careful. My shoulders were relaxed and then I started to do this. Because you're carrying your life, basically. You're just going around like this. And then we're in the hotel hall and Guruji came from the back and he says, come on, Akash, why are you so stressed? Relax. And he started to push down here. And there's one thing that you should know, like these asanas, where we carry Giridhari, they're absolutely 100% bad. Like, I don't know what is the karma related to giving asanas and like all these seats for deities to Guruji, but every time they're not straight. Deities are very like wobbly, just like unstable, not at all in balance. You need to, it's a big mess, big mess. So he said, relax. And slowly, with the passing of the years, I relaxed. And one day I was too relaxed. I was very, very relaxed because you grow into confidence. You're like, yeah, I know what to do. And so in Vrindavan, we were, I think we're inaugurating Rukmini Pandurenga, the one on the left of the mandir. I don't know if you have been there, but the one that initiated, I think it was 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And somebody, I'm doing the Kalash Pujas. It's Swami Rangaramanuja, yeah? So we're there, and Guruji wants Giridhari to be there where the Kalash is, where the coconut is. And so he says, take Giridhari. So somebody takes Giridhari and gives me Giridhari. Now, asanas are like this. To give you an idea. You might have seen them. They look like this, you know? This is like an asana. Yeah. So you can see that they're like put together. If I can keep the asana like this. Yeah. And so that's what you think. That's your assumption. Like, why would I think that somebody is so evil-minded to create an asana that this part detaches from the bottom? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you build something like this? It's just evil. Like, you should not do this in your life. Somebody comes to me, yeah, and they give me this thing. So I grab from here. And the situation is, I'm sitting here, Guruji is behind me on a big chair singing. So I take Giridhari like this, and I'm telling you, I am very lucky. Lakshmi is my Ishtadev, and thank God, because I would be dead otherwise. For whatever reason that is still unknown to my own brain, my left hand just goes by itself under on the left. Because when I grab the top of this thing, the entire asana falls down. And I just stay with the back of it in my hand. And Giridhari, Rukmini, Pandurenga, the Saligrams, the Lakshmi Saligram, they just start to fall down. But thank God, for whatever reason, my left hand was down, so it just landed on my hand. And I kept Giridhari up. So what is your first reaction? If you know Guruji is behind you and you might die after you do something like this, just don't turn. Fake that everything is good. Just like the last thing you should do in that moment is acknowledge that you made a mistake. Just don't do anything. Just keep on as nothing happened. So I go on. So of course, you start to feel the fire inside of you. You just start to sweat. But you decide that thing that didn't happen. That thing didn't happen. But Guruji saw it, because of course, why would he not turn in that exact moment? So he turned in that moment and he says, oh gosh. And so I turned and I said, yes. And I said, what is wrong with you? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. And then he looked at me straight in the eyes and he said, wake up. And it really worked. Like, I actually did wake up a lot. But then I consciously decided to kind of erase that moment from my life. Like I said, this never happened. Like, I wanted to be in a situation where mentally I could look straight in the eyes of Guruji, somehow denying the reality of what happened, because there was a great possibility that he might not bring it out. So every time he looked at me with a specific way, I just went away. I was just like, no. Never happened. I just turned and went away. I was just like avoiding the possibility to bring that out, that I almost made the saligrams and Giridhari fall down on the floor. And it worked. It worked. I survived, and he didn't bring it out by this day. And I hope he forgot about it, because I didn't. I hope he did. It's really risky. It's really, really risky. But yeah, the Giridhari situation is nice. And of course, I mean, Mirabai's deities, it's really amazing. Really, really, really amazing. It just becomes complicated when you're surrounded by sanctity and everything. You start to take things for granted. Yeah, because it's a lot. It's like, how can you, like, you will keep bowing down every second. You will think, oh my God, I live close to him. Oh my God, he's passing by. Oh my God, he hears my thoughts. Oh my God, he knows what's going on in my mind. You freak out. So your mind at one point will have to get in ease and say, yeah, just man, just relax and live your life. Just learn what you can, but be able to filter sometimes. And yeah. But of course, there are multiple stories.
Thanks, Swami. I think it was Swami Revati. He shared someone mistakenly dropped Giridhari one day.
He did, and he was the Lamb of God who, was crucified for it, and he suffered for all of us, so that we can all learn from his mistake. Because we shouldn't do it. We should not do it. We should not do it. If you want to survive this lifetime, we should not drop Giridhari.
Cool. Thank you so much for your sharing. So before I open it up for everyone else to ask a question or share something or say something, I have one last question for you. So as a knowledge teacher and attending a lot of Guruji's lectures and satsangs, maybe you can share like a profound experience with us, but also an experience that could like teach us more about having knowledge on the Bhakti path.
Well, once I told Guruji, I said, it's very complicated to be a knowledge teacher around you because we know nothing and we're supposed to go around teaching something that we actually don't know. It's very complicated. And a few months after I told him that, for whatever reason, he made me the manager of the entire knowledge department. That was absolutely the opposite that I thought was going to happen. Because knowledge is complicated, especially when you're with him, because the Gita has so many ways to be understood. And not only the Gita, but every story, every saint, every little thing, Guruji can tell you everything. For example, do you know why popcorn pops? Why the corn seed pops? Do you know? Imagine you're with Guruji in the kitchen, you're going to make popcorn. Guruji looks at you and says, do you know why popcorn pops? Like why the corn pops? Do you know? Somebody? No? Me neither. And I was like, it's such a, what question is this? Like, where is the knowledge? Where's the Bhagavad Gita? What is knowledge? And Guruji says, because there is one drop of water inside the corn seed, and when you heat it up, it just evaporates, just heats up, and then when it explodes because of the temperature, pops, and that's how the corn pops and becomes popcorn. Yeah, you don't see it, and that's how it ought. Like, just to give an idea of the knowledge Guruji can bring out from popcorn. He says, in the same way as you don't see the drop of water inside the corn, the soul is inside of you, but you don't see it until you make it blossom, and that's how you become popcorn. Yeah, that's how you become who you are. So Guruji has this incredible ability to take something super complicated and bring it down to earth and make it really understandable from us. And the more you study Nyaya, the more you study Sankhya, the more you go deeper into this philosophy and very complicated things, the philosophical system and all the darshanas, you realize we're so lucky to have Guruji to put it down to earth, to make it so easy to understand. And he's telling us like really strong, deep philosophical things, but very, very clearly and easily. And Guruji is amazing in this. But he really wants us to learn. He really wants us to learn. And some months ago, we were outside. He was having lunch. It was just me and him on the terrace. And we're talking about somebody who left. And I asked him, how is it possible that you leave? Yeah, because the question was, do you have free will? I asked him, I said, do we have free will? And he said, no, you don't. And I said, well, you told me many times we don't have free will. So that person didn't leave because you can't decide. You don't have free will. Everything is the will of God. So it's not you leaving. You made her leave. And Guruji said, no, it's not about that. And that's like what, if you read the Gita, that's what you understand. Like there is no free will because you cannot decide whatever you want, but you have choice. And that's what Guruji said. We were outside, very sacred moment, and he just said, I didn't give you free will, I gave you choice. And then he looked up, and as if he could see like the amount of possible choices we can all make. Like when you're looking at the catalog on Netflix, same. Honestly, it looked exactly the same. We just look at it. And then he said, according to the choices that you make, I'll give you the experience. It's already like a great teaching, yeah? You can find it in Bhagavad Gita, you can find it in multiple scriptures that say this, but Guruji brings it down and make it very easy. But then he said, and if you're smart, if you're intelligent, you're going to train yourself to make the right choice. Because if you train yourself in making the right choices, you will end up in big, strong moment where you will automatically make the right choice. Yeah. And why is knowledge important? Because if you read the Gita, you realize the senses are my problem, attachment is my problem. Chapter 3, who's the greatest enemy of the yogi? Desire. Where does desire dwell? The senses, the mind, the intellect. What are you really? The soul. What should you act for? The loka sangraha, the benefit of the world. You should act being detached from the fruits of your action. Yeah. Chapter 2, very important, for example, is when he says you should do like the tortoise. Yeah. Put your limbs inside, put your senses inside. Yeah. Like the tortoise, when you retract the limbs, retract the senses from the world. Chapter 2, verse 70, when he says desires are in the mind of the yogi, but he's untouched, like the river. When they flow into the sea, the level doesn't change. Yeah, in that way. So you're thinking, wait, it's not about that much not having them until you are in the mind, but it's about not being attached to them, not putting that much interest into them. And that's where the more you study and the more you learn these things, and the more you meditate on them, the more when the experience comes to you, you can apply what the great saints did, what in the Bhagavatam the saints were doing. And if you take the story of King Puranjana, yeah, if you take Puranjana's story, like he goes in the city of the 9 gates, yeah, that is clearly the body. And then he gets so much into the love with Puranjani, with the wife, that he's so into it. It's just like when she's happy, he's happy. When she's sad, he's sad. When she goes out, he goes out. When she sleeps, he sleeps. It's so much senses based. He's not madly love this one. He doesn't love the Vasudeva Sarvam of chapter 7 of the Gita. He doesn't love God inside of her. He's pure sense based. He's madly into the senses with Puranjani. But what happens at the end of the story of Puranjana? He's alone. She leaves him. Time comes and eats him. It's the end. That's why knowledge is so important, because then you can apply these things. And when you have lust coming up and when you have all these senses taking over, if you remember Sarv Puranjana, you remember the end. You remember how I went through it, that you could follow the senses, but what would be the result? And that stays on you to be intelligent enough to make the right choice. And just to give you an idea of how much training yourself into learning what the right choice is so that you can be trained in big moments. My psychotherapist that I showed you earlier, he died. He died in April when we were in Mauritius. He left his body. So I go to Guruji. They call me in the night. I go to Guruji and I said, Guruji, he died. And he said, oh my God, like this. And he's acting shocked. And then he said, well, of course, that's how people die. They just die. So like he makes jokes about his own reaction to the fact that somebody died. It was weird. And then he tells me he's out of the body. It's been too long. And after all the mess and like talking to the wife and all the situation, and clearly like in my life, the most important person is Guruji. But if I would put somebody in the second place, it would be this guy, because he really saved my life. And of course, Guruji is going to play on that in the most tragic moment which can happen, when the second greatest person in your life died. Guruji looks at me, sitting there, and says, he has been out of the body for too long. He cannot come back. And then staring at me, like with a challenge in his face, he says, well, I can put him back in. What do you want me to do? Bhagavad Gita. You follow attachment, or you follow what is right. It's complicated. And honestly, I think, thank God, I think I did the right choice, but I think it was a culmination of him teaching me and keep helping me to make the right choice. I looked at him without even thinking about it, and I just said, Guruji, you decide. I have no idea. Like, you know what is the right thing to do. Like, I have no idea what is supposed to happen. If it's good for him to come back, let him come back. If he doesn't have to, that's it. And at the end, he died. Yeah, that's the end. He's in Vaikuntha. Yeah, he's amazing. He's going to have fun. He's with Krishna and everything else. But at the same time, he died. There's one side of me that is incredibly happy. On the other side is thinking, oh, he's not here anymore. You see, that's the beauty and the madness of this path. We are on one side wanting to go on the other one, but we're still rooted in this one. We're still in the mind. We're still in attachment. We still have desire. And so that's what we want. But at the same time, we know that it's very good what's next, and we trust Guruji, and we trust what we feel that is better what's on the other side. Not on the other side when you die, but in the other side of other side of the mind, when you transcend it and you realize who you actually are, and you realize, God, it's just, yeah. One thing is talking about it. One thing is when you're in that moment and you're thinking, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, Vaikuntha, amazing, but I miss him. Yeah. So there you need scripture, you need Guruji satsang, you need the knowledge, because you need to know, like, what do I do with this? Like, from where does it come? Attachment. Is that bad? It's not good. It's not useful, but at least it's kind of sattvic. Like, I loved him. Yeah, he was a great person. And then you try to go beyond this attachment, but you need the knowledge. Otherwise, it's very complicated. It's very complicated. So yeah, for sure, knowledge is essential. And the Bhagavad Gita, I mean, I believe everybody in this call read the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, it would be crazy. But if you're ready, just keep reading it. Just keep thinking about the verses, like meditate, try to apply them in your life, in your job, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, with your wife, with your husband, with your son, with your daughter, with your grandfather, whoever you're engaging with. Just try to apply that with a taxi driver. Whatever happens, react. It's okay. Let it be, whatever is going on automatically. But then look at the situation and think, if I follow the Gita, what would I do? It's just something I ask myself, like, if I would be following what Krishna said in the Gita, what would have been my reaction? And slowly you train yourself. But of course, you have to have the knowledge. That's why knowledge is important, because you need to study and you need to remember these things, and you need to have them, yeah. Of course, for sure. For sure.
Wow, very deep, Swami. I noticed that on the Guru Connect, the Narada Bhakti Sutra's lecture is out, and the full lecture. So I'm sure you were there in person with Guruji when he gave the lecture. Any highlights you can summarize from there for us? And I would encourage everyone to also join Guru Connect, because there's some amazing lectures there, even on the saints as well.
Yeah, there are two instances especially that I remember, because I really wanted to store them in my mind. And one of them is when Guruji, I think it's in day 2, he's talking about the devotee and the knowledge of the devotee, and why you should have knowledge, actually. To be grounded in the knowledge of your path and in what you're doing. Because it's essential. You're representing him when you become a Hindu. Yeah, you become a devotee, you become a Hindu, you're representing him, and you're part of him. And you have to be very grounded also, because if you're grounded, people will not move you. No. Actually, you will move them. But how do you become so grounded? Just, well, following trust and following what he says, but at the same time having the knowledge of what you're doing. Yeah, because then it's very complicated to move you, because you know what you're doing, and you know it makes sense. You know, the more I travel, the more I speak to people, it just makes a lot of sense. Like, sometimes I just tell people things and I'm thinking, this makes a lot of sense. It just makes a lot of sense what Guruji teaches us, what the Bhagavad Gita is saying. It's just mind-blowing how beautiful it is, what he gave us the possibility to learn. So yeah, that was one great highlight that I really advise you to go to. I really don't remember. I think it's in day 2 or day 3. But there is another one that is crazy in day 4. Like when he says, "I came to challenge your mind." That was one of the biggest highlight I take in the last 6 years, where Guruji himself says that's the reason why I came. The Guru came, I came to challenge your mind. If you want to know who you are, follow me. But I will challenge your mind. If you don't want, go. And it's beautiful because nobody forces you to stay here. You can go. Go. The spiritual market is full of people that will tell you what you want to hear. But that's not me. If you want to realize God, follow me because I can give him to you, but I will challenge your mind, because if I don't challenge your mind, you will not change. If I don't remind you constantly to do your japa, to read the Bhagavad Gita, to do your sadhana, you will not do it. And it's so true. It's really so true. I think that's the main highlight for me. If you go on day 4, you will find it is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like the clarity, how clear it is, how true it is. Amazing. Amazing.
That's amazing. Thank you, Swami. So I think I raised my questions here. And now I'll leave it open to the participants. If anybody has any questions or anything to share, you can use the raise your hand function and feel free.
You don't have to talk if you want to, just like you decide.
Jai Gurudev, Swami Akash.
Yeah, hey Premananda. I don't see you.
Sorry.
Show us your yellow face.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's very sweet of you taking a time out and spending some time with us in South Africa. Really, really appreciate it. And
Nice.
keeping us going. We need more of these from you guys.
Well, I remember last comment of Guruji in Kenya when the South Africans came was about like being together. So how are you doing going on together?
We're trying.
What is this political answer?
We gathered together yesterday for puja, for celebration, and for supper. Of course, food must be involved.
Yeah, for sure. Nice. I remember that was what he said, no? He gathered all the South Africans who were there.
Yeah.
And he was talking about being together, and yeah, I really hope you do it. It's really important.
Okay. We'll continue. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to see you sometime in South Africa. Are you coming through? Maybe.
I don't think so. But I'm happy you're going to see Guruji and he's going to come there. Nice.
Cool. Thank you.
Jai Gurudev, Swami.
Jai Gurudev.
Nice. How are you doing?
Good.
Thank you so much as well for sharing. It's lovely. I think always being so open about things, so many people will relate so easily, especially from the early part of your life before getting to Bhakti Marga and so forth. So it's very nice sharing all of that, and I'm sure it will inspire everyone. And yeah, well, I think Guruji is coming next year. Yes, as Premananda said, it'll be nice to have you as well, even though you might not be keen to come to South Africa.
I'm very happy to come. Just pray for me to come and I'll be happy to be with Guruji.
The last time Mayur didn't want to come and Guruji brought him here. So maybe you will come along. It'll be nice to have you.
It'll be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions, but yeah, thank you so much. Nice. And take care. Jai Gurudev.
But you made a great point about like sharing and being open, because somehow it's so powerful, like the truth. Like, you know, many times when I travel, I tell people, look, I'm no saint. There's no, I didn't transcend my mind. I'm just a man, honestly, but with a great master. like with a great master. Like that's what you can tell. That's why I tell people I have a great guru. So whatever you see that I made or they accomplished, or you see that is good in me, just honestly, it just comes from him. I didn't do that much. I'm just stick to the thing. I'm just still here. It's what I actually did. And I think that's what we're doing. Like we keep doing and we keep staying here. And he's doing everything else. So I think the least that we can do is just to be open and share how much it changed us. Because I don't regret the drugs that I took and the parties and the women and everything that I did, because they were part of it. And I tell you something nice. So one day Guruji was like, why were you so stupid when you were young? Why did you take all that drugs? And why did you play online games and all these things? Yeah. And I said, I don't know, Guruji, I was bored. I don't know. That's how it works. I was bored. I didn't know what to do. And that was they give you. And he said, well, maybe you needed that to come here. And I said, nice. Really? And he said, no, you'll be here anyway. So that's the funny part, you know, it's just like, it's no way. You can't avoid him. You can't avoid him. You can't avoid him. But it's true that the experiences he gave us, they help us to relate to people and they give us the possibility. So I think we should all be open in that sense. Like, I've did many bad things for the world, but at the same time, when you tell them, you let judgment to them. And anyway, people are going to judge you. So at least you give them some material to be judged. And then they choose. That's what I think.
Thank you, Swami.
Thank you.
Jai Gurudev Swamiji.
Gurudev.
My name's Radha Priyavasini Dasi. I just want to check, is there, for the Bhagavad Gita, a mind map that you have that you could share and we could distribute to those that are online, so that could give us a framework to work with, just for us to develop our own information base, as opposed to just constantly reading mechanically through the Bhagavad Gita. Or many of us have different methods of learning and familiarizing oneself with content. It would be great if there is something that you could share.
Before meeting Guruji, I studied memory techniques. And I actually applied many of them to my learning of the Gita and the other things here in Bhakti Marga. And also you have to calculate that I'm very lucky because I have very good memory. So actually the mind maps I have, they're in my brain. I didn't really put them down. Plus I used a technique that you might know, maybe it's called the mind palace, or the loci technique, means the rooms in Latin, where you basically allocate information in something that you already know. So for example, there's a room, my childhood room and my mom's room of my old house. The things that I already know by heart. And so what you would do in these scenarios is you allocate different information in an environment that you already know. So if you tell me what is chapter 1, for example, in my mind map is my house, my room in my house when I was young. Chapter 2 is my living room. Chapter 3 is my grandmother's living room. Chapter 4 is my sister's room. Chapter 5 is in my dad's living room. Chapter 6 is my room in my dad's house. And that's how I go on. Like, you have information stored in different places. So the weird thing for me would be like, if I share my mind map with you, I can draw them down, but they would be my rooms. So they're my memories. You're not going to remember them as I do because they're my memories. So it's something that you can do. It's true, like keep reading mechanically is not really useful. So my advice for you is learn how you learn. don't know if it sounds weird in English, maybe in Italian makes more sense, but you have to be able to know how you learn, how you memorize things. Like, do you know better numbers, or you know better colors, or you know better shapes, or you know better people, you know better the eyes? What you remember in people, you remember the name, or you remember the face, or you remember the smell, or you remember their clothes, or just, you have to check in your brain, like, how does your brain work and what type of memory you have, and then just like try to make the best out of it. There was somebody who couldn't use this memory technique with the rooms, but it was the one making cakes in the Bhajan Cafe. And so we came up with an idea, and I said, just use cakes. Because every cake is a different chapter. So she knew all the ingredients, she knew all the shapes and the colors, and then she allocated each chapter to a different cake, and then she learned all the chapters because of the cakes. Very nice. So these are the possibilities that you have. But soon we will come out with a syllabus for devotees for you to study and to learn. And so you will have different places to learn from and different material. So it's going to happen. But again, as an advice, the best map that you can use is the one that you made, because it comes from your brain. And you're going to remember it way more than if somebody else gives you his. You can have them as an example, yeah, as an inspiration. And if you're interested, you can just write to me and I send you the different. I have some YouTube links that I collected with time, where there are different memory techniques and things that you can apply if you want, if you're interested.
I'm definitely contacting you. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you for today's session. We appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Swami. So I guess if there's no more questions, we can close our meeting. I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's session and feeling the love, feeling inspired on this part of Guruji. So special thank you to Swami, and you can do the closing prayer for us. I mean, if you want to leave us with some parting words, you're most welcome to.
I just spoke 3 hours. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I want to say is, to fix problems in the Sangha, Guruji said, read the Gita. If you have any problem in the Sangha, learn, read the Gita together, read the Gita individually. Something that I realized the most is needed so much amongst us and people is communication. We don't talk to each other. So if you're having problems amongst each other, just talk to each other, call each other. We're a family. So I guess my hope is that we all grow into that sense of family and being together, because it's beautiful. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. That's how I feel. Because when I look at all of you, maybe some of you, I saw you once, I don't know, 6 years ago, and some of you never met before. We still share the love for Guruji and for this path. So it makes us family. It's beautiful. Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Prem Satgurudeva Shri Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Samasta Bhakta Mandali ki Jai. Thank you for inviting me, for listening to it. Jai Gurudev.